Hello, hello. I am going to be going over the SSLP in this video. There have been a lot of changes, so thank you to those of you that tried it out and were able to provide me with feedback. I loved all the feedback. It was great stuff, and I think I got everything in here as far as like what changes need to be made in order for it to work. As well as we can hope at this point. I mean, obviously we're going to continue to make this better, but yeah, so I wanted to kind of give you a in-depth look at everything that it can do, starting with the very beginning. So I just made this copy. This is the exact same thing you will see once you open up your brand new copy. And I'm going to go through the first steps with you and then show you some extras as well. So the first thing that you'll see is a little to-do box. This is just a reminder for you. It's telling you how many objectives have been assigned to a unit, how many objectives have been assigned to days within your unit, and also how many lesson plans you have to complete. That might change a little bit. Might also be able to give you the opportunity to make it so that that doesn't pop up every time you open it. It's really just for you. It's just to kind of figure out what you have left to do. And if you already know it, then that's fine. If you want the reminder, that's cool too. So I'll work on that. But as of right now, it does pop up when you first open it. So I'm going to click OK on that. Something else that's going to, or something that's going to be a little bit different on yours is that it will already have your teacher name, your name, the class. So I'm just going to say Math 6, the subject, and the grade already in there. Okay, so I just went ahead and typed that in. If for some reason you have a blank copy and you need to type it in, that's fine too, but that should already be there for you once you get your copy. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is get rid of these reference errors. Okay, so you see these two #ref exclamation point. All you have to do is hover over it and click allow access. You want to do that for both of those. What that's going to do is just make that a blank cell. So if you see nothing there, that's good. You don't have to do anything. If you see the #ref exclamation point, then you do need to hover over and click allow access. You can also see that it changed the calendar over here. So if for some reason you see a whole bunch of hashtag values, like it showed just a minute ago, then that means that you have not given those pages access. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is import the standards. So we already have chosen the subject and the grade level. So I'm going to come up here to the curriculum docs menu and click add standards. It's going to take you through some authorization of a script. This is only going to happen one time, the very first time you run this. And this is basically just telling you that somebody else scripted something that's running in the background. That was me. It's all safe. It's fine. You're good to go. I'm going to teach you how to get through it. You're going to click continue. Click on your name. Click allow. And then you should be good. So then we're going to go ahead and go up to curriculum docs menu and try it again. So we're going to click add standards. Have you selected both the subject and the grade level on the title page? Subject and grade level. For some of the electives, it will say all here. That's fine too. For some of them, it will say middle school or high school, depending on the subject and how the standards are laid out. But we're going to go ahead and click yes. And it's going to do a little bit of work in the background. And I'm going to pop over to the standards and objectives page. So I'm going to hover over that and click on standards and objectives. And you'll be able to see that these standards are now popping up. I'm not doing anything. I'm not touching anything. They're just popping up on their own. Once you have all of your standards in there, which again, it's doing on its own, we don't have to copy and paste anything. The lines under each standard are going to be where you put your objectives. Okay, so that's going to be where you break apart that standard into specific objectives. So, for example, 6RP1, that very first standard. Understand the concept of a ratio and use ratio language to describe a ratio relationship between two quantities. Maybe the first objective is, we'll put in, I can understand the concept. Oh, of course, it's going to do this to me. Google issues have been fun lately. Okay, I think we're back up. All right. I can understand the concept of a ratio. Maybe that's one objective, and another objective is I can use ratio language to describe and what you can see is happening, or at least happened for that very first objective, is that it put a little 0 here, meaning that that objective is currently being covered in 0 units. Okay. There's also a spot for key vocabulary. So for this objective, one of the key vocabulary words is ratio. And this should be ratio. And maybe you want to put quantities here. So you have several spots there for the vocabulary words. We don't know which unit these objectives are being covered in just yet, because we haven't even put our units in the title page yet. So what we're going to do now is, and it looks like that script is done running, so that means that all of our standards are now in here. So all of the 6th grade math standards are now in here. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the title page. This is a navigation link up here. You can go to any tab and it'll bring up that link. So we're gonna go back to title page. That's where we want to go. I'm gonna click on title page and it's gonna bring us back here. Before, there was a ton of this like pinkish red color. That was just to show like which parts you needed to fill in versus which parts are filled in automatically. Now it's just the headers. Okay, so if you're looking at this page, you can see that this stuff, even though technically it's being added automatically now, if it wasn't, you would need to fill that in on your own. And then these 3 columns are the only columns that you need to worry about filling in. Everything else is done automatically. So that's what that pinkish red color means. So let's say we're looking at our first unit is Unit 1 ratios. And we need abbreviation. Abbreviation should be like 2 to 3 letters, numbers, or whatever long. So I'm just going to put RAT. It's a great abbreviation. And number of days, this is only number of instructional days. So you are not including weekends. You are not including days where we have special things going on, holiday breaks, anything like that. So I'm just going to put in there 21 days. What that's going to do is go ahead and tell us then how many days we have left, instructional days we have left in the year. Start date and end date is filled in automatically, and then it's going to go ahead and put in the start date of the next unit. So let's say Unit 2 is linear equations. That's a math thing. Not math. Okay, so we're going to put in here LIN. And this one we're going to say is going to take 32 days. It's a long unit. Again, it's filling in the end date, the start date of the next unit, and if you scroll over here to the calendar, you can see what it's doing. It's putting in that abbreviation. So let's just put a couple other things here. You can even use like Unit 4. Who knows what that stands for? I'm just making stuff up so that I can show you. Maybe there's a really long unit in there. And what it's going to do then is it's going to continue to break them up into different colors. That way you have a clear picture of how long each unit is taking within the school year. All right. And this is just a little key here. W means weekend days. X means that there's no school. And you do not need to worry about C for complete, because that really only makes sense on the completion page, which we'll come back to. Excuse me. Over here to the right, you have the links to the unit plans and lesson plans. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, or no, before I even go to the unit plans, what I need to do is fill in the, assign the units to each objective. So I'm going to go back to the standards and objective page. Now I know what my units are going to be. So I know that I'm going to talk about ratios in units 1, and I'll probably talk about it when I talk about linear equations. Same thing here. I might be bringing it up a couple other units down the road. So I'm going to go ahead and check those off. And then you'll see that these numbers will change to reflect how many units each one of these objectives is being covered in. Well, we know that it's more than one. Catch up. There we go. So now it's showing 3 for each of them. We're going to go back to the title page. Now we can go to the unit page. Unit 1 plan. And again, really all you're worried about filling out are these pinkish red spots. Okay, we have a navigation link up here at the top. We have some information that was pulled from the title page. So this is unit number, what quarter you're starting the unit in, start date, end date, and number of days. We'll come back to this in a second. You have your essential understanding spots, so you can fill in those there, potential barriers, misconceptions, and additional resources. Your district resources are already filled out automatically. You have a link here to the district resource chart, and then a link to your model curriculum if your subject is a subject that has a model curriculum on ODE. And then underneath that, you have all the standards, objectives, and key vocabulary that was pulled in from that standards and objectives page. So you can see that we are in this unit talking about standard 6 RP1, this objective, and 6 RP1, this objective. And then we also have 2 vocabulary words here. Up at the top is where you keep track of your formative assessments and summative assessments. So let's say on day 818, we're going to have a quick exit ticket as a formative assessment. And then at the very end of the unit, so the end date, so that's 9/10, we want the unit assessment. Maybe also on, let's say, 825, we have a quiz. Okay, so then we're going to come over to this side. You can see that I already marked X's where you have your formative assessments and summative assessments. So you can see those when you're planning out which days you're going to cover each objective. If you have this issue where you can't see an objective, there is an option up here under Curriculum Docs menu, Fix Formatting. You can resize all rows on the sheet. And what that's going to do is just make it so that you can read everything in there. Okay, so our first objective, I can understand the concept of a ratio. We're going to be talking about that for maybe like 3 days. Then we're going to start talking about this objective. Maybe we'll be talking about those again towards the end of the unit just to kind of wrap everything up. And when we do the review, now it's going to show us how many days we're covering each of those objectives. The coloring up here shows you Monday through Friday, Monday being the darkest, Friday the lightest. So that gives you kind of a better picture of the actual weeks to make it a little bit more visible as to which days you're covering those objectives in. All right, so that covers, there we go, 7 and 6 days. That covers the unit plan. So maybe now we want to go to the unit 1 lesson plans. And again, you can change this to whatever, and that changes the link right there. Unit 1 lesson plans, already at 14 minutes. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're going to go to the link for the Unit 1 lesson plans. Again, you're only worried about the parts that are like the pinkish red color. You have your start date, end date, your unit title. You have the navigation links, works the same as all the other ones. Oh, except for you get a warning here, but I'll fix that. Let's go back to title page. You have your key vocabulary, essential understandings, potential barriers, misconception, district resources, and additional resources. Looks like maybe those need to be fixed. Haven't noticed that until just now. So G2 and H2. The days are already filled in all the way up until the very end of the unit. The dates, of course, and then the objectives are already filled in as well. So even if you have 2 objectives, so like you have 2 objectives on this 3rd day, it lists both of those objectives for you. This is one thing that's definitely changed is the actual lesson plan itself, the plan for the day. Before it was broken up to kind of match our instructional framework. However, we realized that that's not going to be the case every day, and that was never supposed to be the case every day. So it just made more sense to kind of leave that open so that you can plan for those days however you see fit. There is a link there to our instructional framework just in case you need to see it as a reminder. And there's a spot for materials. Assessments are filled in automatically. You can see that exit ticket, quiz, or the unit assessment, all of those are already put in there from where we mark them on the unit plan page. Basically, a lot of this is just try to cut out as much of the repetitive work as possible. Accommodations and modifications, you have a spot for that, differentiation, reflection notes, and anything else that you want to include on there. All right, so let's go then to, maybe that's pivotal. On this day, we're going to do an intro, and this day we're going to do an activity. Obviously, you would have a lot more in there, but just to kind of keep track, let's say activity 1. Let's call this activity 2. All right, so next we are going to look at the calendar. So you also have calendar months down here. So if you prefer to see things in a calendar, you can go to the August calendar, and that's going to show you any important dates that we have on our school calendar. That's going to be that pinkish red color. It's going to tell you the unit, the day, the objective, and if there's an assessment. So it looks like maybe it's missing the assessment in there. So we need to fix that as well. See, always working to make it right. Okay. And let's say you are working on this activity 1. Okay, so we'll go back to lesson plans. Let's go back to unit 1 lesson plans. We're working on activity 1, and we're like, oh no, we need another day for this. This is not going to be finished by the end of today. So I'm going to go up to Curriculum Docs menu, and I'm going to go to Calendar Updates, and I'm going to say we took an extra day. What is the unit number? The unit number is 1. We're on unit 1. What is the day of the lesson that has taken an extra day? An extra day. So this is the 2nd day of unit 1, so we're going to put 2. And what that's going to do is just take that 2nd day, that activity 1, copy it over to day 3, and adjust everything else. And good thing I put that plan in there because I'm not noticing that the plan didn't move over, but everything else did. Okay, so that'll be fixed as well. So then it'll end up looking like activity 1 is here, and then activity 2 is going to move over. I promise all of this will work. This is good stuff for me to realize this now. Okay. What that also is going to do is if you go back to Unit 1 plan, it's going to adjust all the objectives here as well and put a couple little asterisks up here. That just means, hey, just a reminder that lesson took an extra day. So that day was adjusted. You can do a similar thing if school got canceled. So let's say on let's just do 8/19. School was canceled. So this is unit 1 again. 8/19 is day 6. That's the day that was canceled. What that's going to do is, again, adjust everything, but it is going to leave that day blank. So obviously we can't cover any objectives on that day. This would be a school got canceled and there's no like virtual learning. And then it's going to put a little asterisk with a C up here as well. And that tells you that it got canceled. It's also pushing your unit plan out an additional day. So if you go back to the title page, you can see, as well as that additional day for that activity 1, it added 2 extra days. So that means that it pushed everything else out 2 extra days and took 2 days after the days that you have left. So that's just a way that you can keep track of that, as well as far as like how many days we thought it was going to take versus how many days it now is actually taking. 20 minutes. Okay, so then a couple other things. We have a completion page. Completion page is going to tell you which lesson plans you have completed, and also which unit plans you have completed. So once you have all that stuff filled in for your lesson plans or unit plans, that will start to fill in as well. You don't even have to pay attention to this page if you don't want to, but it's there. There is also, we talked, important dates you don't have to worry about. That's just for the school dates. Standards and objectives, we already talked about that. You have a list of standards. So if you're looking for standard information about specific standards, and you don't want to go like scroll through the standards and objective page, you can come here, you can filter if you need to, if you're looking for a specific standard or a specific strand, you have all of those there. It also includes every standard for your subject, not just your grade level. So if you are working in 6th grade math and you want to see a specific standard from 5th grade math, then you can do that here. So I'm working with 6, but I want to see 5th grade math standards, that's in there. That one doesn't have a link back to the title page, so you can always just scroll and use the tabs here. You also have a lessons plan list. So at the end of the school year or even halfway or whatever, if you're looking for a specific lesson over a specific objective, then you can come here and say, okay, I want to look at just the lesson plans where I covered this specific objective. What did I do? What were the materials I used? What were the accommodations, modifications, etc. So you have that available to you as well. And then one last thing I want to show you is that you do have the option to make agenda slides that will show your plans. So the first step that you want to do is click Create Slideshow. You only have to do this once. It's going to put a link right here to your slideshow for your class. And every time you want to update slides, you're going to erase it so that shows that you have no slides here. And you're going to come up here, Agenda Slides, Update Agenda Slides. Have you deleted all the slides? Yes, we did. The unit name. So this is a little bit different from when you're canceling school. So I'm going to put Unit 1. Everything has to look exactly the same. I'm going to click OK. And what that's going to do is add slides here that show the name of the class, the unit, the date, the objective, your plan if you have a plan, and the assessment. And I think that might be everything. Like I said, it's a lot, but hopefully it makes things, again, we're just trying to get rid of that like repetitive stuff and make sure everything's connecting, because right now we're using lots of different documents in lots of different places. This is just to make sure it's all connected and we're able to continually reflect on whether or not what we're doing is working and adjust if we need to. If you have any questions or anything, obviously do not hesitate to ask. If you have feedback, please, please, please send it to me. I have a couple things I need to work on already, obviously, but please continue to send me feedback. I love it. I want to know what's working, what's not working, and why or why not, so that I can make this as easy as possible for you guys, because that's the goal, is to make sure that we're consistent and efficient. All right. If you made it this far, congratulations. Thank you. I feel like I should entertain you more, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to end it here. You're welcome.